Eilish, thank you so much for your time. Talking to you from Dubai, when you first decided to head out that way, did the training camp plan come first, or was it because Hans Zimmer Live was around the same area?
Do you know, I was actually so lucky that that even remotely worked out because I remember I've been looking at dates for ages and I saw it was in June and I was like, oh, June, I'm always in Font-Romeu. You know, that's just my training camp for the summer. I'm always getting prepared for summer races. Yeah, we would never ever be out in the Middle East at this time of year just because it is so hot. So it is, yeah, London Marathon's done me a favor on that one. I managed to actually do something normal for once and actually have a bit of a life. So yeah, that was good fun.
Was it a bucket list thing for you?
Yeah, like I've wanted to go for years. Like again, these things pop up and you're like you always see different concerts and gigs and you think, "Oh, I'd like to do that." But it just being an athlete, like nothing ever fits. You know, there's always a big competition coming up. There's always a like honestly, this is the first time in my life that I've not had something that I'm like trying to chase. You know, coming back from knee surgery, it's like, "Oh, I want to make the Olympic Games and then I want to make this championship or that championship." Like it's the first time we scheduled London and just nothing else. It was like get to London, get through London, hope it goes smoothly, and then you can worry about the rest of the year and plan the future years. So for me, it's the first time ever in my career I've probably had a bit of this limbo period now where, yeah, we don't know what's next.
Is it nice? I was going to say it's so rare to have. Yeah, you might have an off season for a couple of weeks, but to kind of be forced into just stopping for a while, like you guys look like you took a great trip to Japan, a pretty special trip for you and Michael as well. Like, it must be nice to have that period.
Yeah, like as you said, like normally I take 2 weeks off and then you have sort of 2 weeks where you get back into it, but you always know that you have like big goals coming up, or as I said, like a championship to try and chase, or a goal race that you're trying to get back for, or you're trying to stay on your funding, or you're trying to stop your contract getting cut. You know, you're always constantly trying to like scramble to get to something. But yeah, for the first time, it's been nice to like get choose to almost take that time off. I firstly needed it because I couldn't walk after the marathon, so that was quite an easy decision. I could have done without the trip to Japan in all honesty because it was very obviously quick turnaround from London, but yeah, it was definitely worth it. It was a really special moment for the pair of us. Uh, I obviously was unexpected. I was meant to be there for an ASICS photo shoot, and they had just happened to change that day. So we hadn't even planned to go to Mount Fuji. That was me the night before saying to Michael, I'm going to go to Mount Fuji and book a tour guide. And so pretty much I arranged his proposal essentially. And but he's had, to be honest, it's very Michael. Like he's had the ring for ages and just been traveling around with it, not sure like where to go, what to do. And then when I said I wanted to go to Mount Fuji, he was up at like 3 a.m. in the morning Googling where could he propose around Mount Fuji. So everyone thinks he's like had this big
Nailed
grand
it, yeah.
plan. Yeah, like but he's absolutely just winged it entirely.
Classic.
Yeah, was very lucky that our taxi driver managed to take a really beautiful picture. He obviously took hundreds of pictures, but he managed to take something really special for us to have as a memory.
Or he's just a natural romantic, Eilish. That's the other flip side to that.
Well, Hannah knows Michael very well, and I'm sure you can definitely say
I,
there's no
I had a,
planning, no consistency. It is just he's gone his whole life winging things. But honestly, I wouldn't have had it any other way. Like it was really special. We've been together obviously a very long time, so it was more, I think, important for our family than it is really for the two of us. Like we've always known that we'll be together, but for the family and stuff, they're very old school and it's still the way that I think our mums and dads and stuff think. So for them it was really important.
Did it feel significant as well that it came after London Marathon? Because that clearly was something you'd been building up to for so long and had to pull out previously. It's such a kind of milestone moment in maybe this new part of your career.
Yeah, I think London for me was challenging because, as I said, I think I put so much pressure on it having not made it in 2023 to the start line. It was like I just wanted to make sure that I made it round in one piece and that it was almost like a bit more of a mental block, you know, like proving to myself that I could do it, that I could get through the whole thing and I wouldn't have any problems. And to be honest, it was tough and it was hard, but like I still did it. You know, I came off the back of it with no injuries, no problems. For me, that was like a big box ticked. So um, I suppose a lot of my pressure, a lot of my thoughts were just on London. I mean, I hadn't even thought about our everyday life together. So the fact that uh, it was obviously a nice surprise because we've been, as I said, we've been together for a very long time. And the fact that he even managed to get a ring is incredible because we are together 24/7. Like I don't know how that's how he's had it for so long because he's just taken his little moment and then had to just keep it and travel about for ages. So yeah, we have a very unusual, I suppose, relationship in that sense. Like as I said, we're together 24/7, being coach and athlete, but obviously partner as well. It's yeah, it's quite intense, but it works for us.
No, it definitely does work. And we go back to that, the build up to London, that pressure to make the start line. You were in phenomenal shape before 2023 when you had to pull out. It's twofold, isn't it? It's about making the start line in one piece, but then also the nerves of debuting an event. Like, did you separate those two things, and were you concerned about both of them, or was it all about just trying to make the finish?
Yeah, there was obviously part of me that was frustrated. I couldn't like almost show everyone all the work I'd put together for 2023. You know, I'd had like a really good build. I'd came out all guns blazing with over 10K, half marathon. I felt like I was really ready to put in a big performance and even surprise myself. I just felt like I was ready to go and then not making it. Yeah, it was just hard. Like it was hard to let go of it because I felt like I'd done all the build up, all the prep, and then all of a sudden you're not on that start line it felt like it was just worthless, that whole block. And then I made the mistake of trying to hold on to it. You know, I didn't want the fitness and stuff to disappear. And ultimately, then I've ended up missing pretty much all of 2023 and then struggling most of 2024 to get back fit. So in hindsight now, I should have just almost like sucked it up and accepted defeat and took some time off and went on with things. But it was just hard. I think yeah, going through that whole build and not getting the final end result. So if part of me was just very, very anxious then heading into this London, of course, in my mind, you know, there's little doubts that pop in here thinking, is this going to happen again? Am I going to be in the same situation again? Or is something going to happen during the race? You know, you hear so many horror stories of people not making it the full distance. If anything, we probably went into London a bit unprepared. I wasn't doing maybe the mileage that I probably should have been doing and where I was in 2023, I definitely went in like almost undercooked, as we were calling it, like just because it was very safe, like all training was safe, just to make sure that I just needed it. I needed mentally to get through that full distance without any problems. And I sort of knew I could do it, but it's nice to almost prove that as well. I know there was a lot of people doubting, could I ever be on a start line? You know, you always see or hear comments from people saying, oh, you know, she'll never do it, she'll never be able to finish one, she's too weak, her body's this and that and everything. So you start to like maybe slightly question it yourself. So it's nice to like, yeah, finally put that behind me now and I can actually now focus on not being like I was going to say like taking risks in training, but not really being like that, but just not being afraid to maybe push things a little bit more again. You know, in order to get success, you need to be training hard. You know, you need to be doing a decent amount of volume and hard interval sessions. You know, so I think I can maybe now like tick that box and maybe move on a little bit from that.
When anyone at any level, Eilish, does a marathon, it's all encompassing, right? So you think about it all the time. After the experience you had in 2023, that was like, because you said you were in such good shape, did you almost enjoy that build better than you did for this year? Because was there instead so much stress and anxiety attached to this one instead? Was the first experience better, but the race this time you actually managed to do it?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they were, to be honest, they were both difficult. I think because I was in such good shape, you were walking on eggshells. You know, it was just, you never go through a marathon build without something. You know, there was always one day it was like an infected big toe, and then the next day it's your hamstring, and then the next day it's something
Yummy.
else, and then you wake up with an ear infection, and then you think, oh my God, do you know what I mean? You just feel that you're constantly having to like battle little things. So every build there's always going to be like a really anxious or time where you're thinking, God, I just need to wrap myself in cotton wool and get to the start line. I think for London this year, there was maybe just a heightened sense of that because it was the first time I'd obviously made it to London, but also then had to just be in the athlete hotel for like 5 days, just surrounded by all the other athletes, all the agents, all the coaches, all the media. We had something like 5 hours of like press conference, photos, media. on the so many days before. So all of that heightens it too. You're thinking, oh my God, I've got like a marathon on Sunday, but here I am doing all this stuff around it. And even just being in the city, to be honest, was pretty nerve-wracking. Like me going for a run around Hyde Park was chaos. Like people were constantly stopping me or saying good luck, and it was so nice. Like it was like even us walking to the even Michael was getting stopped and asked for pictures and things walking to Hyde Park. So it was like super intense, but it's like lovely that people are runners and they're doing it too, or they're doing it for, or they know someone running it. Like it was really cool, but it was just super intense then for me for my first one because I was just like, yeah, don't get sick, don't get injured, make it to the start line. Like there was so much going on in my head.
I also wondered what actual race day is like in reality compared to maybe, you know, the obvious the expectations that you would build in your head, because I was there that day and the crowds are just unbelievable. It was so hot, the vibes are amazing, but is it quite difficult to like get into a race and realize that maybe something caught you by surprise or something is different to how you'd envisioned it was going to be?
I'd say the atmosphere was probably better than I could have imagined. Like I've come from track, obviously, so I've had some really special moments. You know, I've had London 2012 with 80 odd thousand fans in the stadium. I've obviously had an incredible moment at Commonwealth Games
I
with
was going to say Commonwealth Games
so many
Birmingham.
odd thousand people in Birmingham like cheering me on. But it's just that that's like a constant noise and a buzz. Whereas when you're on the road, you like there's still a real noise, but you can hear people individually shouting your name, which is it's just unique in that sense. Like it's a lot more intimate, I think, being on the roads and people are shouting, "Come on, Liz," like my mum's name, or "Do it for Scotland," or like a couple of people were shouting my club from home, like Dundee Hockle Harriers, like that sort of stuff. There was actually one guy from my club, who I used to train with. He was there shouting at the side. Like you can pick people out of the crowd, which is really unique. And I think the atmosphere definitely caught me off guard a little bit. And I think that's probably the only thing really that got me to the finish line. I think, to be honest, I would have been a marathon anywhere else in the world and how rough I was feeling from very early on in that race. I don't know if I would have finished, but in London, I don't think they would have let me stop. I think they would have just kicked me back out and told me to keep going.
So I thought it was interesting what you were saying about, you know, this feeling from fans or pundits, or whatever, saying, can she even make a start line? Whereas from my point of view, you're so talented at so many different distances. You could have been forgiven for sticking at 5K, sticking at 10K. Like, why all the way to the hardest distance? Like, what is it about the marathon that pulled you towards it?
Yeah, I suppose just from like a very young age, I've always been aware that like I'm not the fastest, obviously, over 8:15. I'm definitely the type of runner that, like, I ran 4 minutes for 1500 in old rubbish shoes, which I'm pretty happy with. But I ran it like running like flat out from the gun. You know, I'm not someone that's gonna kick in like you and run it the last 200 and kick past everyone. Do you know, I'm literally someone who had to do it from the gun essentially. So I've always known that like the endurance is there and the sort of you just naturally as you move up, you sort of feel more confident in those distances. And that's what like I said I would never run a 5K and then I ran a 5 and then same thing with a 10. I said I would never do a 10K and then all of a sudden I was a 10K runner. And I told my mum from a young age, I was like, I'm never doing distance running, like it's not for me. And she was like, one day you'll do a marathon. And I remember thinking, oh God, like absolutely not. Like there's no way I'm ever doing that. But yeah, you just naturally, I think just training, it's even maybe being a female athlete as well, like as you get older, you do just feel a lot stronger in your training. Like I'm not as speedy and quick as I was over the faster stuff, but you do just feel like like a natural endurance build. I think it's something you can really train through experience and years of training. So for me, after doing my half and running so well in it, it was like I like that new challenge, you know, of doing something totally different. I've been on the track for so long now that it was like, let's just try something different. Like I've watched it on TV for God knows how many years, watching Paula win, watching all these incredible marathoners over the years. I just think, yeah, I'd love it was like a bucket list type thing to want to do one. So yeah, why not do it on the elite start line alongside some of the incredible women and just see if I enjoy it.
And did you enjoy it?
Not at the time. it was a lot harder from earlier than I thought. And I don't know if that was maybe the heat. I don't know if it was my altitude days perhaps as well. Because of all the sort of press and stuff, I was in London a lot earlier than typically I would like fly in race straight away pretty much off my altitude. So it's something I need to think about for the next one. Maybe after having spoken to other marathoners like Paul Radcliffe and herself, like a lot of other people said, for the marathon, it's just different to track racing. You can't just sort of come in and race straight away. Like you need a longer taper period and a longer period down from altitude because it's such a stressor in the body living at altitude all the time. So that was really interesting. I think something that we'll try for the next one. Because I really felt rough early doors. Like you're talking through the first 5K, I was not too happy. Um, so yeah, I think it's probably one of the toughest races I think I'll ever run, in all honesty. I was just putting one foot in front of the other to survive and make it to the end. But there's a real sense of accomplishment when you've done it. Like there is no other feeling, I don't think, quite like that when you cross the line and you know you've you've done it, you've ran a marathon. It is a really cool feeling, and I can understand why over 1 million people sign up to that ballot every year to get into it because it's unique for sure.
I'm nearly convinced. I'm nearly convinced I might want to do a marathon. Rich is a marathoner. He's our like resident actual runner, proper runner. You wouldn't catch. I don't think you'll catch me near a marathon.
Honestly, never. I literally thought I would never do it, but there's something, even just honestly, the people, the mass participation race behind you, like it's just the whole vibe and atmosphere of it is it's a really cool thing to be a part of. So many people raising funds and charity funds for it, but also just running for different reasons. You know, people are running for loved ones that they want to make proud, or their family, or I don't know. It's pretty cool. It's very different, I think, to other sports. Like, what other sport can you do where there's like that many thousands of you all lining up and doing the exact same thing? You know, not everyone gets to go and play Wimbledon alongside, I don't know, Andy Murray or Federer or something, but yet you're all in the same line as like Kipchoge, um, all running the exact same steps that he's running. Like, I don't know, it's just there's something really unique about running, which is cool.
That's such
Yeah,
a
and you've
good
already.
way of putting
Sorry.
it. Sorry, no, I was just saying I never really thought about it like that, but you're totally right. It's such a leveler, isn't it? In that sense of like bringing people together, and you're always all doing the same thing. That gave me goosebumps thinking about that actually.
It's true because we don't have it in any other sport. You know, I can't think of anything else where obviously we have team sports and stuff, but nothing where people are all standing on the line doing the exact same competition, but all for different reasons and different goals. And it doesn't really matter if you're trying to run, me trying to break my mum's record or whatever, or if you're running 6, 7, 8 hours, whatever you're doing, you're still actually, you can still call yourself a marathoner at the end of it, which is a hell of a lot more than people who haven't done it. So it's yeah, it's a really special event.
That would be me and you, Hannah.
Yeah, you're listening, Hannah. Yeah.
If Rimmer signs up for it, I'll sign up for it. There's my deal.
He is actually getting dragged into a race very soon. It's the first thing he's moved in since he retired in 2019. Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
You've already said the next one. You've said the next one a few times. So what is the next one going to be? You've decided you're going to stick to this for a while?
Yeah, I mean, road running is definitely the priority now. So I actually don't have, as I said, I have no races planned whatsoever. I'm still trying to decide like what I want to do and also what races want to have me as well. So there's discussions going on, but there's nothing set in stone really as what. I don't know. I need to decide really what I'd like to do. Do you know what I mean? Would I like to do another marathon, but it be a fast one running with men, or do I want to do something that's like a bit more competitive, but it's a women's only race, but there's no pacemakers, you know, rather than have it strung out from the beginning. So there's lots of like questions, I suppose, where I need to decide what I'd like to aim for next.
What
But
do you
first,
think you suit, Eilish? Do you know which one you'd suit best, do you think? I mean, because New York, for example, is a bit up and down, isn't it? And that is a bit more of a leveler. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, personally, I'm not a big fan of hills. Coming from the track, there are no hills in the track. So, um, I think to be honest, I enjoyed London as a course, but I think I would have liked to have had people around me. So if that means running with men and club men and being competitive, like it does make a big difference. I've ran a lot of women's only road races, but the difference of having people there to chase and to fight against it does bring another sort of level of competition to, or you elevate your game for sure. So that might be a route I sort of look at, but I think New York's a cool one because it's such an iconic marathon to do, and it's one that my mum's won as well. So I would like to do the ones that my mum's previously ran, which would be Tokyo and New York. She ended up doing all 6 majors only like last year, was it? She finished them all. She got her 6-star major. But when my mum was competing as a professional, she did New York, London, and Tokyo. So they're definitely ones I'd like to do at some point in my career because it's cool, like being able to go to. I've gone to like pretty much all the tracks that she's competed in, so it'd be nice to do the same road races that she did, albeit 30 odd plus years later. It'd be yeah, just something special for me and the family.
What about
I was going to say some.
No, you go, Hannah. You go.
All right. No, I was going to say, some marathoners, between marathons, they might say, right, I've got to work on my speed. But your personal best through the distances, that's not a weakness. You've got the leg speed there, even if you say it's gone slightly. But it's the mileage, because I remember you picking up injuries at the start of your career, when I was still competing, and the way you train, supplementing that mileage with cross training. Do you think that's something you've got to build up to kind of unlock that next level of marathon running? Like, what do you think is going to take you to a podium at a World Marathon Major or at championships?
Yeah, there's absolutely no doubt it's mileage is a big thing that I'm going to have to build on to get to that sort of world class level to really make a big jump. And that's one thing I'm really proud of, to be honest, is the fact that we didn't have a huge build going into this marathon, but I still managed to hold on to 8th and top Brit 224s. The time was slower than I had hoped for, but I think all thing considered for my first one, it was like, okay, it's a box ticked. I think really looking at the next one, the mileage is probably the biggest thing that's going to have to change. I've still got a little bit of work now that I need to get back into that same sort of 10K half marathon shape because after the knee surgery, I had to take so long off that I just haven't been able to get that sort of training in that I needed to do in order to, I was just rushing everything to try and make the Olympics, to try and squeeze everything in, and I did as best I could, but it's nice now to be like, right, for these next so many weeks or even months, I'm going to really focus on trying to get back that 10K half marathon to where it needs to be in order to then build on the mileage to compete at the next level. But for sure, the mileage is going to be the hardest thing for me to build up. We did really well in the 2023 build. My mileage was really good. But ultimately, it was probably, in hindsight now, when I look at it, a little bit too much travel around. I traveled back to race Berlin half. A lot of changing shoes as well. I was testing a lot of like the new shoes, which again, in hindsight, probably shouldn't have been doing during a marathon build, but it's just, I was trying to find out which one would be best for me to run in the marathon. So you get a little bit carried away. Now, when I look back, I think, yep, I should have not really made any changes at all, especially when I was in such a big block of marathon training. So there's definitely things that we learned from that block that we sort of took into this one, but I'll be taken to even more into the next one as we build.
I felt like I rubbed that. I I jumped in too soon, Katie. You had a question.
No, sorry, my camera keeps glitching, so I'm slightly wary that I'm like half a second behind. Sorry.
No, you're all good.
Okay.
No, you're all good.
But even when you say that, Eilish, about the time and what you might be able to do, having tinkered and having another one under your belt, beating your mum's time, did that matter to you? Is that important to you?
Yeah, it was, because I think from a young age, my mum's always said that I would beat her records one day, and I never ever believed her. I always thought like my mum's times were just incredible, and I would never sort of reach those sort of heights, particularly on the track. Some of her times, especially like the shorter distances, I just remember thinking like I'm so far off of that when I started as a steeplechaser. So it was nice. Like the first one I ever broke was the 3,000 meters. I think back in 2017, might have been Monaco Diamond League, and from there on, then I slowly started breaking them all from 3K to 5K, 10K, then obviously the roads, half marathon. So this was the only record that my mum had left, and I'd never managed to do a marathon before, so I thought I would have loved to obviously try and break it. So yeah, it was nice. It was important. It's even cooler that my mum sort of had all the British records, and then they shifted into Paula's names, and then I've managed to shift a good chunk of them back into like our family name. which is special.
McColgans versus the Radcliffes, yeah. We
Yeah.
get Isla coming through too. Yeah.
Isla coming through. But it's true. Like, again, it's such a crazy thing, like that, for that to even remotely have happened. As a kid, I would never have dreamt of being able to even remotely run the times. These, obviously, it's a different generation. We've got new technology in shoes and advancements, and we know more on nutrition and all sort of whatever else. But particularly from my mum's generation to mine. But it's something that, yeah, it is special with my family, and I wouldn't be where I am today without my mum. So I feel like, although it's me running, I feel like we're doing it, the two of us. You know, I feel like it's her as well. It's partly her to claim that. So yeah, there's going to be a hell of a lot of work to try and get Paula's 2:15 British record. I'm not sure if that'll be within my capabilities, but I will give it everything I have to try and do that someday.
It's interesting you put the timelines on it there, saying it wasn't 2017 that you ran faster than your mum. You're a professional athlete from 2011, 2012. And I think lots of people kind of assume you were a fantastic athlete as a kid. And I don't mean it in a disrespectful way, but like, you know, as a school age kid, you weren't at university. You took a while to come into the sport. You made 2012 and all that, but your progression has just been relentless through your career, like particularly when you kind of view where you started from, maybe.
Yeah, something I'm quite proud of is like the longevity I've had in like, I'm still going strong when obviously a lot of people that are in the same age groups as me growing up as kids are no longer in the sport. So it's something that I am really proud of, to still be here and still feel like my best days are ahead as well. I still don't feel like I've absolutely hit the ceiling of what I can do. I still do think I can run a couple of more PBs. But I suppose I started off, like, my entryway into this athletics was through steeplechase, because the women's steeplechase was at the time like I suppose an event that not many women wanted to do. You know, I remember doing the junior leagues, and it was 1500-meter steeplechase, and nobody wanted to do it from our club, like not a single person. And our clubs were all amalgamated to make like a bigger league. And no one from Kingdom Athletics is what we ended up calling ourselves, and no one wanted to do it. I was doing like high jump, 1500, and then getting roped into doing the steeplechase as well. And I remember the first one I ever did, I ended up winning it, but there was like nobody really doing it. We had a shot putter doing it, and a couple of people that had been forced to try and get a single point for the club. But I just loved it. And it was an event that my dad had done. And it was only like not that long ago that women were introduced to it for the very first time at the Olympics and stuff. So I was quite inspired to like take it up and try it because it was something new. But honestly, I think without the steeplechase, I don't think I'd be where I am today, because it was my gateway into like professional athletics and seeing actually how hard these people trained. You know, it was the first time then I got invited to, say, a GB camp with yourself and Helen Clitheroe, and being on altitude camps and being around people and being like, oh, this is how people train. Like this is different to what I'm doing. You know, I was a student, I don't know, out partying so many days a week and eating kebabs at 4 in the morning and wondering then why I was tired going to training the next day. You know, I just was like not doing it properly whatsoever. And then I sort of, again, I'd say the Olympics was a bit of a wake up. I all of a sudden found myself at the Olympics in quite a quick succession. And from there, I suppose, to be honest, every year I've just gradually taken it a bit more seriously. I've never had this one big like moment where I've just transformed my life and gone all in. It's been like very gradual for me. I'd say every year I'm taking it like a bit more seriously, a bit more seriously, a bit more seriously. Even to be honest, when Michael came into my life again, that was like another wake up call to be like, actually, this is how he lives as a professional athlete. Like just seeing how other people are really professional in what they were doing. It sort of definitely gave me a bit of an eye opener, because my mum and dad, although they were professional athletes, you know, they were so far removed from it. They'd been retired for years and years. And also, you don't want to listen to your parents either. Like, who listens to their mum and dad when they're growing up and when they're telling you to do things or eat the right foods and get enough sleep? You're like, you don't listen. But when it's your peers and you're around people that are inspiring you, like that's when you really take note and actually start to change what you're doing.
Oh, well, it's funny. I remember you like 2012, 2013. And it's funny to hear you say that stuff, because I always thought your work ethic is ridiculous. Like, I've not seen the way you put yourself like in the Hurt Locker whatever, whether it was when you were doing steeplechase, whether 5K,
Yeah.
10K. Like I'm not surprised that you've ended up with the career you have, because you can't fake that. Like you can't fake that ability to push yourself. And yeah, to watch you layer the rest around it, like it looked pretty logical to me that you'd end up here. But
I think that's probably why, though, I end up with obviously a lot of injuries throughout the way too, because I could never, I probably didn't know where like the stop button was. You know, I would push and push and push, but almost push off the edge all the time. I would red line all sessions. You know, if I wasn't really dead by the end of a session, I feel like, well, what was the point in that session? And it's taken me probably a good couple of years, and certainly Michael's input, to realize like you shouldn't be like on the ground dead after every single interval session you do. You know, you shouldn't be killing yourself that much all the time. That's something definitely over the last couple of years has made a big difference, having that balance of like rest, recovery, easy days are easy, hard days are hard, be able to push when it's the right time. But again, it comes with just experience and learning that. I definitely didn't understand that as a kid. I just thought you trained as hard as possible and you would just make it. And unfortunately, that's not quite how it works. Like it just doesn't work that way. So, yeah, I think the work ethic's definitely been there from my mum, but I definitely needed someone to help balance that out a little bit with the recovery side of things.
Do you feel like you've got a really good balance to your life now, then, Eilish?
Yeah, I think so. Like I've never been someone that's like so intense on just running and that's it. Like I have a life outside of the sport that I love, but at the same time it was more just, as I said to you, yeah, not operating at like 100% all the time in those on those hard days. It's like trying to, or even just small things. I woke up and I was a bit tired or felt like I was coming down with something. If I had training on the schedule that my mum had set, I would just do it. Didn't matter. It didn't matter if it was 50 degrees outside or I wasn't feeling well or had a bit of a niggle in my leg. Like if it was on the schedule, it was like, oh, I had to do it. You know, I felt like I had to follow that no matter what. So I definitely say over the last couple of years, yeah, I've been able to balance it a little bit better of, yeah, if I wake up tired, I think, right, don't worry about scheduling an easy day and pushing that to the next day. You know, it doesn't matter if you do it today or if you do it in 3 days' time. Having like a bit more relaxation around what a schedule looks like and not having it just set on stone, which is probably something that all youngsters do. You know, a lot of youngsters growing up, you have your coach set your program and you follow it to the absolute T. But as I've got older now, it's like up to me and I suppose Michael a little bit to take a bit more responsibility in that and ownership of the schedule. So like the structure's still there, but it's like up to us as to how we implement that across the entire week and don't be afraid to move things around and juggle it if we need to.
and training abroad's a big thing you do. You spend a lot of the year in different locations. You seem to have your favorite locations, but
Yeah.
a lot. I think you've kind of built your life around training camps, and it looks a lot of fun. I've got to say, to be in all these beautiful places.
Yeah, sadly it's not as fun as it looks. It's just it's a lot of time. Obviously,
I've forgotten the training, haven't I? I've forgotten
yeah,
it.
it's obviously a lot of time away from family and friends, but I am really lucky that like myself and Michael, since the pandemic, we've essentially made the decision to be away and utilize training camps as much as we possibly can, whilst we can, because it's a short career. Like I'm never not gonna do this forever, but I'm really lucky that we travel together because I think I wouldn't be able to do it otherwise. I just would miss home and miss family and stuff too much. But when he's with me, I feel like yeah, we're together. Like he's my home essentially. So wherever we go, you know, it doesn't feel like we're missing things. But it is hard. Like you miss so many birthdays and anniversaries, and my little brother just recently got engaged. Like we missed his engagement party. I am going to make his wedding, thankfully, because he would actually disown me if I didn't make the wedding. So that's the one thing I have planned in the calendar. That like no matter what races are on, that is the one thing I have to attend. But yeah, it's challenging in that sense. But I just know that for a short period of time, I'm doing everything I can to try and get the most out of my performances. I've always found that altitude works really well for me. So in like an ideal world, I'd probably be at altitude most of the year, but the winter, obviously, the altitude locations in are usually under snow, so that's why we go out to Dubai mainly, just for the better weather, better quality of training, better weather. We have good access to facilities here. My mum is actually coming over in a couple of days' time to to just stay for the week and take some training sessions and stuff. So we're a little bit closer to my mum as well, which is nice. And then yeah, in the summer or ahead of big races, we'll be at altitude for months and months on end.
One thing you've had to talk about quite a lot, Eilish, is social media and the horrible side of it. And Hannah and I and Rich were talking about this before, and what a brilliant social platform that you've built up. You were saying this, Hannah, weren't you, with athletes sometimes thinking ahead of the game and like building a brand and things like this, right?
Yeah, no, I say that, like, from my generation, which I class Michael as, and you're younger than us, but like you have harnessed social media and created a brand and given yourself, sustainable platform beyond your performances. But then it's just been so harsh to watch you do that, but then get hit with the negativity off the other side of it. And it's such a balance, isn't it? And we know you've spoken a lot about it, but it's just really tough. And it's there's people like Holly Bradshaw have spoken a lot about it in our sport as well. But I just feel it's particularly cruel that you've like mastered it and you share a lot of your life and your training on there, but then you're hit with the negativity as well.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously our sport is, as I said earlier, like short-lived, and so even like earning potential is tiny for a lot of people. People are relying on funding or family, or it's just hard. So I think the fact that social media brings like an extra revenue stream for a lot of athletes is probably why a lot of people do it. But with that, and for me, it's, to be honest, it's more connecting with like the younger generation. Like when I was growing up, I would have loved to have spoke to like Kelly Holmes or Paula Radcliffe. I mean, you can write a message to absolutely anybody on social media, and obviously they don't have to reply to you, but you can still write them a message, or you can see like behind the scenes of like what they're doing, or they're like you just have an interest in someone, and I would have loved that growing up. So I'm just very aware that I know there's other runners that might look at me and think, oh, I wonder what she does, or how does she train, or whatever it is. Like it's just, I suppose it's just human instinct to be interested in what other people are doing. So I enjoy the fact that it connects us to like so many people around the world. Even when we went on holiday to Hong Kong the other week, I went out for a run and people stopping me because they know me from Instagram. They saw me on Instagram and they run as well, and they're, oh, congratulations on London Marathon. Like it just connects you to so many people around the world that like it's just cool. Like how amazing is that? I can go for a run in Hong Kong if somebody spots me within the first like 50 meters of a run. It's just mad, but it's nice to like they're also going for the same passion and goals as you are. It's similar to like lining up at London Marathon. I mean, every single person has got their own thing that they're trying to aim for. And so the running community is a really special one, but ultimately then when you put yourself online, you just get like automatically opened up to all these trolls, which is not really what you sign up for. People always say that, oh, it's your own fault for posting online. It's like, why is that someone's fault for posting online? Why can't these people just not be arseholes? Like this, that would be the simple way to do it. Like there's no need for these people to give opinions or whatever they claim it is that they're doing. And a lot of them are like nameless and faceless. But I mean, I've even had a teacher write something about my body image underneath. And when I called them up on it and said, God, you're a primary school teacher writing this about another woman's body that you don't even know, they obviously quickly delete that and vanish. So I think some people just say stuff without even, they just don't think. They honestly just type and send before they think, and they don't think of me as like a human, or it's just like you're like this robot online that you're not seen as like an actual person. And I think that's the difficulty. You have to try and get across, like, I have a mum and a dad who read these comments, I have a fiance who reads these comments, a little sister, 3 little brothers who read these comments. Like, it's more hurtful to them, to be honest, than it is to me, because I'm able to just like brush it off. I don't really care, but I can understand them reading it about me and it being hurtful for them. Do you know what I mean? They get upset by it. And you mentioned Holly Bradshaw. I know she's really spoke out about it as well. I think there's a lot of athletes who really mentally do struggle with it. It's not something I've ever, honestly, I don't know why, but it honestly does not make any difference to me whatsoever. Like mentally, it is like I can just brush it off and get on with my day. Maybe because it's become so normal to me. I don't know. It honestly doesn't feel like anything to me. But recently, after our engagement, the first time well, second time maybe, that I've had a lot of racial abuse towards Michael. And it's probably the first time I did read them and was a bit like, maybe because it wasn't about me. Do you know, I was so used to reading the stuff about me, it was like, me, I'm so numb to it. But reading it about someone that I loved it was incredible, the comments, like people writing this stuff in 2025. I actually showed Michael's brother and his partner, and they were just gobsmacked at reading it, that they just could not believe that people would actually publicly come out with that stuff and direct it towards, you know, actually put it on my page. That sort of stuff is disgusting. Like 2025, and we're still having to deal with that. It is insane.
Does it ever make you think, I can't be bothered with it then, the social media? Because the other part of it is, you know, you're connecting with these young people especially, and actually you're also a role model by the fact that you talk about these things, and you have a habit of also making these trolls look a bit stupid as well. And you know, you're sort of contextualizing all these comments, and then they, you know, people, like you said, people are saying things without thinking. Do you think the good side of social media still just about outweighs the negative side?
Yeah, it does for sure. Like I've had so many kids message me saying that they feel more confident in their own bodies because they've sort of been bullied at school or they're bullied at college, and it's allowed, I don't know, they've just realized that, God, if I get bullied at my age, my big age, then, do you know, it's not them that's the problem. Do you know what I mean? It's these people that are trolls that are the issue, and they're the unhappy ones. It's not like, it has no bearing on my happiness in my life. So I think it maybe helps some youngsters see that somebody else is still having to deal with this despite being an Olympic athlete or a professional athlete or whatever it is. So I think it does help a few people. I think that's why I sort of call it out from time to time. I have a lot of youngsters message me, and also I know a lot of journalists said that. They said before, like, why don't I just, yeah, deactivate my accounts? Or, but I thought, why should I be running away? Like, I'm not doing anything wrong. Like, I'm going to continue living my life. I've created an incredible little life that I have. So, like, why should I have to switch it off or hide it away or hide part of it just because there's like a couple of people online who are super negative and just unhappy in their lives? And I also don't really want kids to think like they can just hide away from it either. You know, like, do you still have to go to school and confront these people? You don't just run away or change things. Like, don't be afraid to just stand up for yourself and keep living, keep on going, pretty much,
Yeah.
because there's no need to try and hide away from it all.
Well, and I also feel, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Eilish, but as you know, we're followers of the sport, lovers of the sport, you're one of the people competing in the sport, that there is that responsibility there as well in athletics, where there is such an issue with overtraining and underfueling, that it's understanding that there are different body types, there are different ways to do it, and your consistency at the top level is surely the best kind of messaging to any young person that might feel as though they're getting that trolling, like you said, that actually, no, I am doing it the right way, because if I wasn't, like, I obviously wouldn't still be here.
Yeah, I mean, that's the sort of educational piece that I try and get across a lot, because it's crazy. I suppose the people that are trolling just have no real understanding of like what it takes to reach this level of sport, or certainly like what it takes to reach this level of sport for like a decade. Do you know what I mean? They just don't have no concept of what that is. So for younger athletes who follow me, like, I constantly try and get that messaging across. Like, I would not be here today. I know I look tall and skinny and gangly. Like, that's me. We all come in different shapes and sizes. What is healthy for me might not be healthy for another person, and that's totally fine. And their body shape will not be healthy for me. Like, that's just an educational piece that I need to try and get across to younger athletes who follow me. So I'd like to think that the messaging that I constantly have out there is saying, like, you need to be fueling yourself correctly. You need to, if you're a female athlete, you need to be taking a monthly period. Like, all of these things are so important. And I know it's working because I have like my own little not-for-profit up in Scotland, and a couple of the young girls have messaged me from that because they've realised that they're maybe in an energy deficiency. You know, they're not taking their periods every month, and they've realised from seeing my posts and stuff, they think, well, actually, maybe I need to start tweaking things slightly differently. You know, because a lot of youngsters don't even realise that they're training so hard and they're maybe not quite getting enough fuel in. Do you know what I mean? It's not that they're not eating at all. It's just that they're not quite in that energy balance that they need to be. So yeah, I'd say some of the posts that I put out, I suppose I sort of try my best to keep, it is a bit like educational purposes as well, because I know that there are youngsters that follow me that read these comments. I want them to know that the trolls, what they're saying are not actually my reality, and what I can give first-hand experience of what my actual reality is, so that they don't get warped and twisted views of actually what it means to compete at this level.
Maybe we should be saying thank you to the trolls for allowing you to totally promote the fact that how to be a professional athlete and have a long career in a healthy way, but also the fact that you can be that example to say, you know what, I'm not just going to sit here and let an idiot say something stupid, whether it's about energy deficiency or whether it's about just being a horrible person. Like, yeah, I am going to stand up to these people. So yeah, I don't know.
It's hard. My dad always says to me, you cannot argue with stupid. So I always, in the back of my mind, I'm like, don't bite. But sometimes they just catch me on a bad day where I'm like, I'm just on my phone, or I've got a couple hours to spare, and I just think, and I'm not having this today.
That happens.
I'm not having this today. Yeah. So it's I honestly don't bite to absolutely everybody, because I don't have the time nor the energy to even bother. But some of the stuff, when people say, yeah, they might bring in like about being a bad role model to young kids or something, and that really annoys me, because I think, one, I'd never asked to be a role model, but two, I don't see how. There's nothing in my life that I do. Like, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do drugs. I don't know what they want me to be. Like, I'm doing everything I can as a professional athlete, and I feel like I've got a pretty balanced view and life around that too. So those sort of things does annoy me, because I'm trying my best, really.
Although you did admit to those kebabs of your youth earlier, so obviously now you need to tell us what your favourite kebab is.
There was also, I was about to say, there was also enough alcohol drank at uni to just last me for the rest of my years. So I feel like my quota is like well and truly done. So I've got no more quota left, unfortunately.
You literally don't. I don't think I've seen you drink. So yeah, you don't take.
No, not at all.
Much, do you? No.
2013 was the last time I touched alcohol. I had enough of it to last me.
I think I might even have a photo of that.
Yeah, you possibly do. But it definitely, I've learned my lesson from excessive amount of years. It's just our culture in the UK, isn't it, of university, or it certainly used to be. So, yeah, I'm glad those years are long gone, long behind me.
But you still haven't answered Katie's question about whether you still indulge in a kebab every now and again.
Are we saying sheesh? Are we going kofta? Come on, tell us the kebab of choice.
Yeah, I'm not picky. It's probably sheep still. Yeah, it used to be that, and then we used to have like chips, but like random curry sauce and cheese just piled on top of it. It was an absolute monstrosity. But at whatever time in the morning, it was just the only thing that was open, and it was great. I'm sure there's a name for it. There must be a name for it, but I honestly can't even remember.
Conscious of your time, but just the final few. I know you said you haven't thought about there's no races in the diary yet, but I know you sort of have spoken about flirting with the Great North Run again in September. Is that something you're definitely going to do you think?
Yeah, I need to decide on which sort of marathon, whether we do a marathon again this year or maybe I wait until next year. But ultimately, that's like the first decision I need to make. And then the second decision I need to make is like, which half marathon would be best based off of that. So it's a shame, really. This year, the London Big Half and Great North Run are on the exact same day, which is so frustrating, because they're both great races. And they're a lot of fun to do, like just racing in the UK. We don't have a huge amount of big events like that. So it would have been nice to have done both like I did the previous year, but I'm going to have to choose one or the other. So it just depends, to be honest, on which marathon I'm gearing towards, if any, as to what sort of level of competition I want to compete in as well. They're both tough races, but Great North is certainly tougher just with the international field, and it's point to point. So I don't think the times or anything count for that as well. So there's a few things I need to think about, particularly for like ranking points or qualifying and stuff for next year. I need to be smart of like which races I do. But ultimately, the big decision really, first of all, is trying to decide, what's the next big goal to move towards. And I'm not even 100% sure it'll be this year. Do you know? I think I'll wait to hear from the major marathons and see. It's very last minute, so I don't even know if a lot of them even have space to even to let you in, but I'll and also how quickly I can get back into training, to be honest. I'm still very, very early days. This is my maybe first week, 2 weeks back. And probably doing half the mileage I normally would. I'm just gradually building things up again, introducing gym work again, cross training again. Like the whole process is a way to start up. So uh, it depends on how quickly I can get fit. I certainly won't go and rush into a marathon if I'm not ready.
What about the track, Eilish? Do you still feel a calling?
Not really, to be honest. Like, I still would like to rewrite some PBs, but it's not my main focus. Like I do feel like mentally I've switched all my training now to the roads. I just feel naturally more confident on there as well, being able to run in my own space and not get tripped and clipped on the track all the time. But yeah, I don't think I won't be aiming for major championships or anything, but if there's a track race that pops up where I think I'm in shape to rewrite a PB over 5 or 10K, then maybe in the future we'll do that. But certainly right now, yeah, the roads, trying to rewrite PBs on the roads is definitely a bigger priority for me.